Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn. Robert Clancy, the author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul, joins us from upstate New York. And today we're going to talk about ego, something that people in radio just don't have.
Yes. So today's topic is ego, and my inspirational quote is that I came up with is, just because your name's in light doesn't mean you're any more enlightened than the bulb. And I don't know, I learned a while back that you can have a big ego and it can help you accomplish big things in life. But, well, at least that's what I tell myself. But, I think it takes a keen soul to know others are not stepping stones or things to bow to your supposed greatness. And, there's always great leaders at the top of a mountain looking back on their challenges. But I found the greatest of all leaders are still at the foot of that summit, helping others reach that top. And, you certainly can't do something like that with a big ego in the way.
Absolutely not. But people do need egos, don't we?
Yeah, it helps propel you forward. You just need to have what I call the ego check. You need to keep that kind of, where it needs to be, enough to move you forward, but not enough that you just get so full of yourself that you're using other people to get where you need to go.
It's like what cable companies and cell phone companies do with data. They kind of throttle it back.
Yes.
Right? And that's what you need to do.
Dial it back.
Dial it back. Robert, thank you very much. We will talk to you again next week. Robert Clancy, regular contributor here on Late Night Health, author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul. Late Night Health continues. We go to the Pacific Northwest, if I'm not mistaken, and we're going to spend some time with Kimberly Palm, the author of Conquering Stress, The Real Fountain of Youth. I was in Washington, D.C. last week, Kimberly, and I was in a Lyft mobile. And Lyft is unusual, okay? You get to sit in the front with the driver if you want, or you can sit in the back. Sitting in the back signifies to the driver you don't want to talk. Sitting in the front says you want to have a conversation. And this guy is from Africa and was telling me about his father, who's over 100 years old. He can't have any stress, or does he?
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's a great lifespan.
It really is. Is stress really the killer of life?
Definitely, 100% without a doubt. 98% of illness is caused by stress we create, and the other 2% is stress inherited through your genetics. So yes, it kills you.
So if I have cancer or other catastrophic diseases, it's my fault?
Not necessarily. It could be genetically. It could have been your great grandfather's fault, but it definitely.
My great grandfather was 6'4", and that didn't come down. But anyway, sorry about that. I just had to say that. That's what I was told.
Could be the government's fault too.
Yeah, with all the stuff in the air and the water and
the toxins, all of the toxins. Yeah, because that's all stress. I actually identify that in my book as being part of the stress. So,
what about things like GMOs?
Oh, definitely. I have a whole chapter in my book, Conquering Stress: The Real Fountain of Youth, about the PEACE system that's introduced in that book. It's spelled PEACE. The C is chemicals and toxins. So I have a whole chapter on GMOs and fluoride and chlorine and all those fun little things that we're ingesting into our bodies every day.
How did you get involved in Reiki, quantum touch? We just did an interview a few moments ago on Quantum Touch 2.0 with Richard Gordon.
Love him.
And is that funny or what? And
wow.
How did you get involved with that? I mean, with this kind of alternative healing?
Well, I've been studying alternative healing for 28 years, and I did that because 28 years ago I was misdiagnosed by a doctor, and I had to go and heal myself and figure it all out for myself. And then it happened over and over again where I wound up having to heal myself. And so basically, I am a culmination of years and years of rehealing and learning and studying and growing, learning everything I can about how to heal the body, mind, and spirit. And so that is how I came across quantum touch and Reiki and Qigong and all the other types of energy healing that I've studied and that I practice every day, because I use those to heal myself. I learn them, I use them to heal myself, and, they're beneficial, and so I try to teach others about them.
Does it also keep, you say the fountain of youth, you look young. You look great. We've got your picture on our website.
Thank you. I'm almost 51, and when I meet people in person, they think I'm 30, and I freak them out because my daughter looks like she looks older. She's 16 going on 30, and so they don't think she's my daughter. They think we're either sisters or I'm her aunt. So it's always really nice to hear that.
And that's a nice stroke for the ego, is it not? Is ego important? Does that work into this somehow? Ego?
I'm sorry.
Does ego, that's looking great. Mm-hmm. Looking like Ponce de Leon has given you something from that fountain of youth is a stroke to the ego. Is ego important?
I think ego is an important function for every human. I mean, if you listen to Eckhart Tolle or you listen to anybody from the Dalai Lama to you name it, ego, people try to talk about getting rid of the ego, but honestly, without the ego, we wouldn't be human. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us here. We're in this classroom of learning. We're here to learn lessons, and if there wasn't any ego, there wouldn't be any lessons learned. So ego is actually important. There's a difference, though, between over-ego and under-ego or adequate ego. There's people who have too much ego. They love themselves. Oh, I'm great. I'm beautiful. I'm a chick magnet.
All right, not to be political, but would you, Donald Trump?
Donald Trump is all 100% ego. No, I don't know him personally, so I don't know what he's like in real life, so I cannot say for sure, but let's just say the way he portrays himself with the press and with the media and on television, he portrays himself as being somebody who has a really huge ego. Now, if you met him in person, you may find out that he's the opposite. I don't know. I've never met him. So it
could be an on-camera kind of persona.
Exactly, and there's many people who have those dual personas where they are one way in person and they're a totally different way when you see them on in the media. Completely different, and it's all for show. It's all, that's how they earn their buck. That's how they earn their paycheck.
Howard Stern would be another person that just, seems to me to be all ego, but my understanding is that in person he's a nice guy.
Yes, and I've met so many people over the years. When I grew up in California, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of movie stars and a lot of famous people, and I was always shocked at how many of them seemed to come across as egotistical, but in person they were really amazing and really down to earth and very grounded and very nice. And then I had the opposite occur where I met people who didn't necessarily seem like they had a big ego, and in person they were total jerks. So I was always, shocked to see the difference.
And let's bring that back to your book, Stress, the Real Fountain of Youth. If somebody's a jerk, does that cause stress for them or just stress for people around them?
Well, what I really believe in my heart is that the reason they're a jerk in the first place is because they have a really stressful life and they're unhappy. Usually people who are mean or rude or they're just not balanced. It's because they're unhappy in their own life, so they are actually stressed out. They have unhappiness, they have stress, and so they're sort of taking it out on those around them with their behavior and their attitude and the way they present themselves. But yeah, it is stressful. When somebody's being a jerk to you, it's always going to stress you out. The person who's the victim of that person is obviously going to receive a huge amount of stress. But then the reason they're acting out in the first place is because something difficult is really going on with them that you don't know about. There's
the stressee and the stressor then.
Exactly.
Right. Our guest is Kimberly Palm, and she's got a new book out, and the book is Conquering Stress, the Real Fountain of Youth. One of the things about the Fountain of Youth that Daryl and I keep talking, well, maybe I keep talking more than than that. Daryl, I always say I want to be 120.
You've mentioned that, yeah.
Right? And I want to push the other person in the wheelchair.
You've mentioned that.
Right? I also want to know that I'm Mark.
You've mentioned that.
Right? Yeah. Numerous times.
I think that all adds up to ego, but there you go.
It could very well be. Is that ego? I just want to have a nice long life.
No, every human wants to live long. The two things that every human, actually three things that every human on the earth wants is love, happiness, and health. Everybody wants love, happiness, and health. And that's all is, you want good health, you want to live long. Wanting to live long doesn't have anything at all to do with ego. That's just, survival. That's just, I want to be here, I have things to do. And it's really more about your purpose, too, because if you know things that you want to accomplish and there's things you want to get done and hey, I need another 50 years to do all this, then that's great.
Finding your purpose can be stressful, though. Or
yes.
Right? I mean, how do you know what your purpose is? If all the billions of us have a purpose, and some of us are living in poverty, and some of us are living, in Park Avenue in New York City and traveling the world, how do you know that you're doing the right thing?
It's really how I came across it, and this is how I help my clients to find their purpose, is that's one of those things where you need to learn how to quiet your mind, and you need to connect with what I call, creative energy, God, the universe. You need to tap into that, because that's how you find it. That's how I found out what my purpose was. I actually heard a voice speak to me 7 years ago, that God creator voice that said, I created you. I didn't create you to be a marketing guru because I was a marketing guru. I created you to be a healer. And, I actually heard that voice. And then when I looked back at all of what I had been through, I had this big aha moment, and I woke up and said, wow, it's obvious that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be teaching people how to heal themselves. That's what I'm here for. But I had an aha moment, and sometimes what it takes from human beings, whether they're in poverty level or not, is getting to that point where they can hear what we call that still inner voice within them. They're what some people refer to as the higher self, in metaphysics or whatever you want to call it, God, yourself, your brain, your pineal gland, whatever it is you want to refer to it as. We all have the knowledge within ourselves to know who we are and where we're going and what we're supposed to do. And
well, if I hear that voice, I've got to tell you, I try to meditate, and I know I should meditate. There's a difference there. But if I heard a voice, let me put it this way. I'd like to hear that voice. Our guest is the author of The Real Fountain of Youth, Conquering Stress, The Real Fountain of Youth, Kimberly Palm. I'm Mark Alyn. Kimberly and I will be back in just a couple of moments as Late Night Health continues. Join us at latenighthealth.com, and please join us at twitter.com/latenighthealth. We'll be back.